I'll start recording, and our strategy is to hope for the best, Max. We're going to do like if we were starting again and we knew what we knew now, and we went back to previous versions of ourselves,
right,
and said, hey, listen, older Nick or younger Nick, I'm older Nick, let me tell you what to buy. This is what we would do. In my case, well, in your case, obviously it wouldn't be me going back, it'd be you going back to tell you. You'd have hair and everything. And
I would have. Wow. That's a very, very, very long traveling time.
you'd be 8, and future Max would go back and say,
I think there's
listen, Max, when you get an espresso machine, let me give you some notes.
There's a very small window in which I had hair, and that's actually, maybe 8, yeah. But
you'd be playing with your little toy trains, going, who is this strange Uncle Max from the future?
Yeah.
All right, so that's what we're going to do. Because, I mean, honestly, you know what annoys me? Obviously,
what does annoy me? What is
so
one
much,
of the things that annoys
so
you?
Much.
Come on, tell me everything. I have time.
No, God. What annoys me is when I go to cut my own hair, and I realize I forgot to change the thing out, and I've shaved my head instead. So now I look like you.
All right.
That's one of the things that annoys me. Okay, you got a little notepad there. Okay, but the main thing I was thinking about from a coffee point of view. By the way, if you're just like looking at this and you've scrambled across this video and you're wondering,
and you wonder how the fuck did I
I want to be one of those places that says, instead of we say subscribe, just don't do it. You're going to regret it.
Oh, now it's all the rage. Everyone is saying that. Now everyone is going, oh, absolutely! Don't subscribe. Don't.
Are they doing that?
Yeah, because it's funny now.
I thought I'd be the only one. I didn't know that.
Now it's funny.
Now it's funny. It's not
so
funny
edgy.
So
edgy.
No, we've jumped the shark on it. Jumped the shark.
Yeah.
It's really interesting though. My sister, very quickly, my sister little thing on the side. My sister's got a way more popular like Instagram thing than I've got. She's got thousands of followers, and she does like vintage clothing. And we have a call every Friday, the family call. And she's going.
You spill coffee over the clothing, so that technically made you go viral. No.
Well,
I tried.
I almost had something to say about going viral. I quickly pulled it back and realized it was not appropriate. So no, my sister's got this.
Has anything to do about COVID? Okay.
She said, well, listen up, because she's giving me advice now. Like, she's older than me, and she's giving me advice on social media, like how to get, increase my number of followers or whatever.
Just in the same way you would want to go back in time and give yourself advice.
Yes, and we're going to do that in just a minute. We're going to go back in time and give advice as to what we buy now, because I really don't want to recommend a Gaggia Classic Pro. I just don't want to do it, right? I just want to do it. But I got to tell you this thing about my sister. So she comes in, she says to me, because you understand my sister, she's like save the planet, hug trees, rescue dogs. She's this person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's a little bit older than me. And she has a business, not a business, YouTube thing and an Instagram thing on vintage clothing. And she collects everything, and she loves vintage stuff, and she sews and knits and makes her own clothes and all this kind of stuff. She's really into it. She posts every day. And she said to me like last night, oh yeah, my friend Masha or something, I think her name was, just made £600 on social media showing her ankles. I'm like, what, showing her ankles? She said, yeah, you're showing her ankles. She's like, because in Victorian days, like you couldn't show, like showing your ankles was considered very risque. She showed her ankles like with this foot, and apparently made 600 quid. And I said, how did she do that? And she said it's on some site called OnlyFans. Like,
and that's where it turned sexual.
I said, OnlyFans is a porn site. She's like, no, she's only showing her ankles. And I'm like,
and okay, that's how it starts.
I don't know what the expectations were of where it was going to go from there. She's Googling up OnlyFans. Oh, don't do it, sister. Don't go there. No. Anyway, who?
Okay. Now that's
Exactly.
Now that
That's what I said.
that's out of the way,
Now that we got that done.
whatever that was.
Hello, Max. Nice to see you again. It's been a
Yes,
while.
good to see you.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a busy time. So, have you got a list together? Have you got one? Because all I said was I texted you last night and I said, Max, let's
Yes,
do a
yes. You
thing.
texted me like last night, and I had so much time to prepare that I have a list.
You
I
don't have a
totally
list,
have
do
a
you?
list. I don't.
You don't have a list.
I don't have. I have everything in here. It's
Okay.
right next to to the coffee machines, and right next to the what coffee to do, the to do list for today, my chores, and yeah, easy.
Yeah. Clean the house, all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
easy, easy. All the work stuff is right
Yeah.
here.
Build the new bathroom cabinet, all that there.
Oh
And then
hell
also,
no,
and then
I'm
you
not
haven't got
gonna
to
do
that yet.
that. No.
Ah, well, I'm giving her ideas. I'm giving the wife some ideas. If she listens to this, probably need a new bathroom cabinet. Have a look at the one you've got right now and
Okay,
just
when
ask
is
yourself.
this coming out so I can cancel my internet subscription and everything?
Look, she'll appreciate it. She'll appreciate it when she looks
No,
at the
it's
bathroom
fine.
cabinet
I
now. She's
think
going to
we're
think, you know what?
okay. We're
Nick's right.
very good.
He could build something better. Anyway,
Yeah, no, we're good.
listen,
We're very good.
coffee.
Coffee.
Coffee. I got to
Yeah,
tell you.
coffee's
I got to
nice.
tell.
I'm having
Yeah,
some.
yeah, we're
Lovely.
having some.
Yeah.
I started really on a Gaggia Classic Pro.
You started on a Gadget Pro. Yes.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah. And I wouldn't do it again. I
But
wouldn't do it
why did
again.
you
That's what I'm
start on
trying to
that?
say.
Why did you start on that?
Because I didn't know any better. The future me didn't come back and tell me what to get. The thing is, at the time, it was probably not a bad choice.
Mm-hmm.
The question is it still the right choice? Was it the right choice? It wasn't a bad choice.
Mm.
It isn't what I would do now, knowing what I know now. I would have what I've done is like divided into like two price points. Because I think like realistically, the people who are going to come into this are going to be people who are going to be like coffee curious. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
interested. Some of them won't continue because
Furious.
they'll find it's too much work. They
They're
just
gonna
don't
be.
get the results that they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And others will say, actually, I want to continue, but now I want to upgrade. And they probably don't want to throw away everything that they bought to upgrade. And so it's kind of like I've got these two different paths. Like there's the cheap path to be curious, but still also get a good shot at it. And then there's the slightly more also what's cheap, right? So different people, different budgets, who knows?
Yeah.
So I've got kind of like two budgets, but what have you got in mind? So if you were going to go back, Max,
Yeah.
back to when you started, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were going to give yourself some advice. What would you advise yourself to buy?
Oh Jesus. Well, I would advise myself to buy something interesting to spend a lot of money in it. So I would go for something second hand, but still that cost an arm and a leg. So either lock myself into a very weird shape portafilter, and you already know where I'm going with this.
Yep.
La Spaziale.
Yep.
And be done with it. The problem is, who has about 400, 500 pounds for the coffee machine and the grinder?
Mm-hmm.
Because you also need a grinder.
Mm-hmm.
So about £1,000. If I have £1,000, I mean, let's face it. When I started, I was broke. It's not that I was broke, but I mean, spending £1,000 on coffee machine and grinder, hell no. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it now, even.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wouldn't do it now. I have what I ended up buying was the Gadja Paros because it has a grinder and the coffee machine. So it's a Gadja Classic with a grinder.
Mm-hmm.
And I paid for that, I think £90.
Mm.
Hard to beat.
That said, did it work, Max? Because you're a fiddler and a person who
It,
can repair
it
machines.
worked. It worked. I had to do the. I had to modify um, the overpressure valve, but it's already there. So you just
Yeah.
need to
Okay.
unscrew it and regulate the pressure. But other than that, yeah.
So I don't even understand really what you were just saying there. You have to unscrew it and regulate the pressure. I'm sure if you explained it to me, but the average person isn't going to want to do that, right? So, but that would be you. That would be what you, the
Even
you know,
if
the
it didn't
mechanic,
have that,
scientist.
okay, even if you didn't do that, you still have a high pressure Gadja Classic that does its job, has a grinder. Eh, it, for that price point, it's really
Yeah,
hard to
90
beat
quid.
it.
But then you've got to be able to find it. So I think one of the things, I mean, go take a look right now at how many other are for sale. I bet you can't find one right now.
No, they're
No.
they're very very rare
Yeah.
because they didn't make very many, because I think I know the reason, because I have put water in the coffee grinder and coffee in the water grinder, because in the morning you need coffee to function, and I was like, oh,
Yeah. It's a catch
that's not a
22.
lot of water, let me top it up. And where did I put it? Into the grinder, because they have exactly the same shape, exactly the same lid. And
Mm,
yeah, brain fart,
yeah.
and just ended up pouring water into the grinder. Don't do that, for the love of God, don't do that.
For the love of God, don't do that. Great. That's great. We'll put that as a tagline, Max.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's the thing is, when you start, yeah, it's great to give great advice, because everyone says it. Oh, you should get the best coffee machine ever. First of all, it's gonna give you lots of frustration, because by the time you learn, you're gonna hate the blasted thing,
mhm.
and also you're going to have, I mean, a massive investment. It's a massive investment, which on something that, yeah, you drink it every day, but do you really? I mean,
Well, so
you think Nespresso,
yeah,
very tempting.
it's not really though, is it? I mean,
I know, but we know.
we know. I used
But
to love
how do you?
Nespresso until I started making proper coffee, and now I hate it.
Yeah, but then at that time, if you imagine meeting yourself now and saying, "Oh, I know better," and how would you answer that? I would definitely go, "Yeah, no, it's not worth that price."
Right. So look, let me tell you what, because I thought this through, and I think I've got a good answer. Okay, I think I've got a good answer because I totally agree with everything you just said, which is strange. So we must be there must be something wrong. We'll have to do this again. But I totally agree with everything you said about the grinder, about the machine, the possibility you can get frustrated, throw it away, etc. So what I'm thinking is this first, and also, by the way, we're talking about espresso machines here, but people might want to do something else. They might actually give up on espresso machines and just make, pour overs or whatever. So here's my
Didn't think
approach.
about it.
Yeah, think about it. So here's my approach is what about, and you're going to love this, what about a used Sage Barista Express, which comes with a grinder, but I would actually, with the extra, because by the way, I've been looking them up on eBay, tons of them available. Get one right now. You can have a choice, look through. £180 gets you a good one.
Yeah, that's a very good budget.
£180. Buy now. There's cheaper ones on there, but the ones that actually look pretty good, that didn't look knocked up, 180 quid, buy now on eBay. So I would actually go for that, which has a grinder, but I would then get a separate grinder and I would get the hand grinder. I'd get, funny enough, looking at even the hand grinders that have come out, the new ones come out, I'd still go with the one that I've got, which is the one Espresso JX Pro. That in itself is another 159 quid, right? So you've got 180 quid for the machine, 159 for the grinder. But let's say you're starting, you really want to have a whole package because at the end of the day, you have to get the whole package. You want to make coffee, right?
Hmm.
So I've got a little notes. I've got my notes right here. Check this out. All right, this is the cheapest option, right? So 180 pounds machine, 159 for the one Espresso.
Hmm.
A coffee tin, an airtight coffee tin for
Yeah,
holding your beans.
vacuum
I'd go for
actually.
the Airscape medium, 500 gram,
Ooh.
35 quid. Very simple to use. It's pushed. I've got one of them. I love
Hmm.
it. There's no mechanical parts to it. You just put the coffee in, push it down. Lovely. Very, very
Hmm.
simple. Doesn't go wrong. I'd get a new tamper because my God, those Sage plastic tampers will want you poking your eyes out. They're awful. So because you're talking about a 54 mil
That's yeah.
basket, portafilter. Get a
Mm-hmm.
53 ml Motta tamper, available on Amazon, £27. Some Cafeza powder, keep it clean, 14
Mm-hmm.
quid. And importantly, some third wave water for making sure your water is good quality, 15 quid. And maybe a WDT for, declumping and whatever, £8
Oh, I
now,
wouldn't go
right?
that far. Yeah.
But let's say you did, right? Let's say you
Right.
did,
Yeah.
because all of those things, well, except for the tamper, you can still use. You can still keep reusing the Airscape tin. You can
Yeah.
reuse the third wave. Anyway, so all that stuff, even if you change the machines around, most of it you can keep using. The grinder, keep using. The grinder you can keep using if you choose to go with making, mocha pot coffee or
Yeah.
whatever you want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pour over V60s, etc. You can use that grinder. So the grinder is pretty versatile. And when you travel, you can take it with you as well to make coffee. So I
Yeah.
kind of
That's
feel
what
that's a
I
good
do.
investment package, right? The whole
Mm-hmm.
thing, 438 quid. So under £450, you've got a total package that I think, even if you throw away the coffee machine later, and you wouldn't throw it away, you'd sell it, right? So
Yeah.
you'd sell it for, let's say, 100 quid, 120 quid. You're out 60 quid. You put that towards a new thing. You're almost out no money. And you've got an upgrade path. I think that's the cheapest way to get going. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's
know you don't
the
like Sage, though.
no. I don't.
But
I
I
don't
mean,
like
for value
sage.
for money, £180, what else are you going to buy?
Yeah, that's secondhand stuff. But the problem is you you either go for sage or gaja. There
Mm-hmm.
isn't anything else like that.
Now, people will say the Ranchilio Silvia, not the
Ranchilla
Pro,
Silvia, yes, totally
but it's
agree on
still, it's
that.
just a
It's
Gaggia,
more
isn't it?
expensive.
And it is a bit more
It's more
expensive.
expensive because Ranchilla Silvias they are more expensive, and I think they already set you on a little bit of a. Uh, you need to know what you want already. You need to know what you need. While with, for example, with Gaja, you have some choices. You can get an older one, an older version from the 90s or from the 80s, like a Gaja Espresso, or an older
Mm-hmm.
Gaja Classic, a Gaja Baby. The internals are all the same. They're
Mm,
absolutely the same. They might not have the three-way valve, but hey, who cares?
yeah,
And you
yeah,
can get those for really, really cheap. I'm talking 30, 40 quid.
yeah. Yeah, the thing is, though, is how often you can find them. And the great
Uh,
thing is about those
if
Sages
you
that they're
look on eBay, to
ubiquitous.
be honest, if you look on eBay for Gaja Baby or Gaja Espresso, you can find them.
Oh, you
They
can?
might
Okay.
need some work. That's the only
Nah.
thing because they're old.
Eh.
So they might need descaling, they might need servicing. But even if you ask someone to service it for you at £30, what would
Yeah.
they ask you? A hundred
Yeah, I
pounds, which is
guess.
extortionate. 140, still cheaper than the Sage.
So I guess one path, there's a little bit of effort involved. And I,
Yes.
and I, and I guess I'm trying to make this an effortless. But you're right. And I think some people like to fiddle because that's how you learn as well.
Yeah, and also, I mean, if you get something that cheap, if you fiddle and you screw up, what have you lost?
Yeah. Well, you've lost your time.
Yeah,
It's the time
but
and hassle, whether that's valuable or
you
not.
lost your time, but you gain some knowledge. And even if you learn that, hey, I don't like this, it's you still learn something.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. So that was my number one choice.
Mm.
You're gonna love my number two choice,
Ooh.
right? So my number two
I totally agree
choice,
with the hand grinder, though. I have to say that I
yeah,
overlooked that the hand grinder. Yes, absolutely. And actually, now that I think about it, going back,
yeah.
I might even tell myself, forget about the coffee, the sorry, the espresso. Just get a V60.
Well,
Aha.
that is actually also, I think that's a really great possibility.
Because
And
you
I mean,
get all the
personally,
fancy, stuff. So get a V60, get an Aeropress,
mhm.
and a mocha pot, a fancy mocha pot. Done.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, personally, I would say having spent time with both AeroPresses V60s and those new RS16s, I love the simplicity of the RS16 from that came from Germany, from Coffee Consulate, and they're expensive. It's like €100 for one of those little things versus 20 quid for a
Wow.
V60 pot. Yeah, but what I would say is that what annoyed me about the V60s was just the paper, having to get the paper out, and then I didn't like the workflow. I don't like the having
I
to
have
wet
a
the
thing
paper, throw it
actually.
away, put the paper back in.
Hold on for 1 second. I have a
Okay.
thing.
Oh, you got a thing. Oh, Max is. That's interesting because there's now just a red dot on the screen. I don't know if maybe he turned his video off. Yeah, he's turned his video off. Okay. Well, he just got me. So whilst Max is away, let me just say, Coffee Concert, I believe links in the thing below of all the different things that I've picked up. So you can do a shopping list there. None of them are affiliate links. You can just go
I'm
find them
back.
wherever you want to get them. Oh, okay. Hey, Max is back. Yeah.
You don't like the
What have you got?
paper?
The thing.
I was in Lidl yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and I got these.
Yeah, I know, but they taste like crap.
Actually, it's not bad.
You're
It's
kidding
actually
me.
not bad.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
actually not bad. I was
Wow.
surprised yesterday. I made a coffee with it. It runs fast, yes. I think I need to tune
Mm-hmm.
it in because it was the first one I've made.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bad. And
Oh, okay.
no waste. The only thing is, how do you get the coffee out? It's just kind of a bit of a bit of a fiddle. But I did like it. And
Oh, wow.
£7.
£7. So
So
you can't beat that. Look, to be honest with you, yeah, that if the workflow is better, I don't like the workflow with paper.
yeah,
And then you run out
I
of
get
paper, and then
it.
you got to store the paper, and the paper always gets stored in a place in a drawer somewhere where it just ends up all over the drawer. Then it just, you know what I mean?
No, because I stored them in a cupboard high up. But
Well, I put it in a cupboard as well, but then it takes up space in the cupboard, and you're just thinking, oh, I just don't like paper. And then you go travel somewhere, and you have to stash the papers in something.
yeah,
I don't like it. I just don't like
Ziploc
the
bags.
workflow, and I
They,
really
they
like the
work really
simplicity
well.
of what is.
Ziploc bags.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. That's a good idea if you're going to do that with the paper. I just don't like the workflow with paper. I didn't
Yeah, no, I
make
completely
coffee.
understand.
Yeah. Whereas with the RS16, I mean, probably the best thing to do is start with the V60 to see if you like that kind of coffee, or an
Yeah,
AeroPress. If you like that kind of coffee, it's worth spending €100 and getting a little tiny cup thing, which you can take with you, and you don't need any paper. You don't need anything, nothing. You just put it on top of your cup, pour your coffee, get your grinder, put your coffee in it, pour it, and you're done. And then you just throw it away. It's absolutely wonderful. Anyway, so that is definitely a way forward. And it also means that if you get the hand grinder, you don't have to worry about whether the espresso machine is going to be for you down the road or not,
Mhm.
because you can always
Yeah,
just sell the espresso machine, eBay it, and then stick with pour overs, right?
yeah.
So that's a
However,
good option.
one thing one word of caution is that using the hand grinder to make espresso, it's gonna wear on you very quickly. I find myself using the electric grinder on the Gadget a lot because,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the hand grinder is better, but it's so much effort in the morning. I don't have that kind of time and luxury of.
If that's a really good point, and because I always used to see it as a bit of a challenge. Just you have to get momentum going quickly. If you go slowly, you get stuck in it. It becomes an issue, and then the sleeve on the JX Pro starts to slip, and it becomes a whole bit of an issue. I have to say I don't use that anymore for espresso. I only use it for my pour over.
Yeah,
But if you're making it for espresso, it's a very good point. What you could do is a little bit more money. What you could do is get the new Mazza grinder, and this is probably what I would do if I was buying another grinder and I wasn't on a budget. I'd get the new Mazza Amiga grinder
yeah.
for
How,
two
how much?
reasons.
How
Remember
much
we
is
talked
that?
about that? I think it's 200 and something euros.
That's actually cheaper than the JX. Uh,
No, the GX Pro is
no, sorry,
120
not
something,
JX. The one that I
150.
have with the
Mazza
adjustment grinder on the top.
Omega.
That was £225.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, really? Well, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I can't find it on the shopping. I think you got to buy it in Italy, or I don't know if they've got them in the UK. But I'm pretty sure From what I heard, they were about 200 and something euros. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. But what I like about it is that it has, that's something else. It has, you can get it with a different, what's the right word? Gearing on the grinder. So it's an easy grind. So it takes longer, but it's at a different gearing. So it's not hard to turn.
Right.
And that means,
it is
it takes an
geared.
extra 30 seconds. Who cares?
No, that's absolutely fine. But I think the timing for me also is a bit of a thing.
Those extra 30 seconds is the thing.
It's not about the 30 seconds. Is that I do shave a lot of time off things as I go, which even 30 seconds they can
Okay,
become
no, I understand what you
frustrating.
mean. It's about workflow for different people. For me, I'm padding around in my morning and I'm okay. I'm in like a little mindset where it's all part of the process where I'm getting prepared for the day and I'm thinking. But then I work from home. So, and there's those people who have to catch a train and all the rest of it. And like my son, I don't know why he literally cannot get out of bed at a time that's an extra 5 minutes early to make coffee. He comes screaming out of his room, running down the stairs. I'm late for work. And he just goes out again. I'm like, why not get up 5 minutes early? I don't know. Make a coffee.
Because I don't know. For myself, I know that I will waste that 5 minutes anyway. So what's gonna happen? So I might as well spend them sleeping. The Omega grinder is 282 euros plus taxes and shipping.
There you go. So
that means
it's not
a plus 20%.
So it's going to be Well,
it's around 300 euros plus shipping.
Yeah, it's not cheap, is it? It's not cheap. But it's got the foldable handle, which makes it easier for transporting around.
It looks great. It's very nice, but it's not a cheap option.
It's not a cheap option, but
so if you're shelling out that kind of money, you might want to think about a niche, maybe.
If you can get a niche, this is the niche, or there's a couple of other grinder, but you're really talking about 500 quid though, you see, for one of those.
Yes, but if you're
up another 200
if you're
pounds
spending
again.
over 300, you might as well go for something electric.
Unless you want to travel, and like if you travel a lot, then
if you travel a lot, then you make different choices. Yes, but then it becomes okay. You travel a lot, so then the espresso machine goes out of the window.
Well, no, it doesn't go out the window. It just means you got your choice. When you travel, you take your AeroPress or your RS16 with you, and then when you're at home, you've got your espresso machine. So
or you can pre-grind your coffee.
No, you don't do that. No, Max, don't. Just shh, stop that. Dirty words. Go wash your mouth out. Look, I've got an option number 2 before this thing goes on for the rest of the day. My option number 2 is really exciting. So option number 2 is, you've got more money to spend. And you kind of like, you say, no, I definitely want to get into this thing, but I'm going to maybe spend £1,000, something around like £1,200 something like that, right? Because I think that's for a lot of people who are going to get into this game, into espresso machine games, that's a number that they'll look at, right? So what would you do for £1,000 odd pounds, 1,200 quid? What would you do?
Me?
Yeah. Ooh. I think you're going to go with something similar to what I've already put down.
Well, I would go for an Oscar, first of all.
I knew it. That's exactly what I put down.
Yeah. The Nuova Simonelli, the Oscar 2.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
It's exactly what I put down. So I did the numbers.
Also, one thing. We're going back in time.
Yeah.
Therefore, we also have to consider what was available at that time. So I mentioned the niche. It wasn't. Was not available.
No, I'm
not
really going back in time, Max.
You're also bringing stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like we're not saying it's like the 1970s. What coffee machine would you buy?
Right. So then, I wasn't around in the 70s.
Yeah, you were.
No, I was not. I'm a millennial. Hey.
Okay.
So if you bring your young self here, then okay, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Yes. So Nuova Simonelli Oscar 2. At least unless you go for the Oscar Mood, even better because it's got a PID, if I
More
remember correctly.
expensive.
It's
No,
a
the
little
Oscar
more
Two's got a
expensive, not
PID.
too much. No, no,
Oscar
no,
Two's
no,
got a
no, no,
PID,
no,
doesn't
no.
it?
The Oscar 2,
Oh,
it
you
has
program it. That's right.
no. The Oscar 2 has a pressure stat only.
Yeah.
It's purely yeah, but the pressure stat you don't mess around with. I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. And I mean, coming from me, I wouldn't really.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would. Yeah, I would do the Oscar 2 or the Oscar Mood potentially with
Mm-hmm.
um with a PID. But even without the PID, it gets you into the realms of the heat exchangers. It will be frustrating at the beginning, but it's got a 58 millimeter portafilter. That's a lot more common, so you can
Mm-hmm.
go anywhere from there. Um, I mean, anywhere, sort of. And it's got the best steam power that is available for
Very good steam power.
that money and more money than that, actually. So it's one of the best in the class. And that will set you back around £600 new, but you can find them
No,
second
it's a little bit
hand.
more than that now.
The Oscar 2, I think it's
Yeah.
400 actually, because they've
No.
reduced the
Well, tell
price.
me where you can buy one for 400, mate.
Okay, I don't know.
No. You're talking about, like, I've seen deals on Amazon, wherever
Okay,
it was, eBay, for including a grinder for like £1,090.
okay. Well, then there you go. There you have it. And
Yeah.
I would get a grinder that comes with that machine. They are very slow, so they are normally they sell you the Nuova Simonelli Grinta.
Mm-hmm. That's the
They're a
one.
bit
Yes.
slow.
You can get that.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
they're
a
a bit
basic.
slow as grinders. The
Yeah.
people complain about it, but you're
No.
talking about a 64 millimeter, I think,
No,
54,
50 mil. 50
50
mil burrs.
millimeter burst,
It's
which is
plastic.
respectable.
Mm,
It's a bit slow, yeah. So what?
noisy. Look, here's what I'd do. I'm just going to
It's a
say what I would
flatbed
do.
grinder.
It's a crap grinder. Look, listen. What you do is you get the machine. Right now, I think it's actually a great deal. So I
Yeah.
totally agree with the machine. But you can get the machine and grinder combo package for like £1,090 right
Hmm.
now. I would take that grinder, brand new in the box, and sell it immediately, get the 90 quid back. I'd take the 90 quid and I put that in towards the 1Z Presso. I'd still prefer a hand grinder over that thing because, and I'll tell you why, versatility that you can, as I said before, you can move between things if that's important to you. Also, that thing is going to annoy you because the sound is this high pitched, just horrible sound that it makes. I've been watching videos of them and they're horrible sounds. It's plasticky. You're just going to not like it. And then also, that hand grinder is actually going to give you more consistent results. From everything I was looking at, the espresso grinds coming out were inconsistent and lumpy. It's just not a good
Okay.
grinder.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would say
Fair enough.
sell it immediately, replace it with a hand grinder, and get yourself an ability. You'll keep the hand grinder, and then later on you get some more money into the whole thing. Upgrade the grinder if you want.
Mm.
So there, I did the numbers. Let me run through the numbers. The numbers are £1,090 for the Oscar 2 with the Grinta. You sell the Grinta for 90 quid, right? You got £1,000. Get the 1Z Presso JX Pro, £159. The
Okay.
Airscape, 35. The 58 ml Motta Tampa, 40 quid. Cafesa Powder, Third Wave Coffee, WDT, 1,271 quid.
Okay. Uh, can I intercept 1 second?
Yes.
The Nuova Simonelli Oscar 2 is the new version with direct water connection or with normal is 750 quid. So
Where do you
it's
find
actually
that?
cheaper. Google,
I've
literally.
looked. I could not
Literally,
find it.
Google and
750
it's
quid where?
Caffè Italia, United Kingdom.
Fantastic. Look at that. I reworked my numbers. It comes out even cheaper. That's under £1,000.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy the.
The grinder package.
No, absolutely. At that point, no,
Yeah.
because if you sell it for 90 quid, you're losing money. So,
Well, okay.
no.
So I wanted to be like, I didn't want to be unrealistic. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, but it's
Uh,
fine. I would still go with for an Oscar mood at that point, because yes, it's more expensive, but hey, better.
Nova
PID,
Smoke.
mate, PID.
Yeah, and also, what kind of group head is that? Because it's not an E61. Is it
So
a
no, it's not
is it
an
a
E61. It's a
it's an
58
integrated
millimeter, but it's
thing?
proprietary. No, 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 no. It's proprietary from. I have one, but it's in the shed. I cannot take it in time. I could show you.
No, please don't go
Um,
to the shed.
no, um, it's it's um it's an heat exchanger anyway. So you have a thermosiphon on the group head, but you have active circulation of the water on the group head. So it tends to run hotter than a normal heat exchanger, because it's got more heat transfer into the group head. That means that it's also faster to heat up and to equilibrate, but you need to
Mm,
learn to do a bit of flashing shots. That's why I'm suggesting to go for instead for an Oscar mood, because it wouldn't frustrate you as much, because the Oscar 2 is designed to do back-to-back shots, and it's actually really good at that, because it's got so much heat dump into the group head that it doesn't really cool down much. The problem is it doesn't cool down much, so you still have the same issue. You have flash boiling in there straight away, which you might want to counteract with the Oscar mode, because it has a PID.
right,
So
right.
it doesn't.
Yeah,
You don't
it's
need to fiddle
interesting.
with it.
Oh, look at this. You're right, 750 quid. It's interesting because I didn't look at this one website. But they're selling it as packages everywhere else. So the
Yeah,
Oscar Mood is 1,200 quid, and that's very nice. Different colors. Yeah,
yeah.
why not? Why
I
not? If you
mean,
got that kind of money, spend an extra couple hundred quid. It's a nice looking machine with a wood handle.
yeah,
It's a little bit
yeah. I
classier.
would love to test drive one,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Nova Simonelli,
Mm-hmm.
Mr.
I
Nova.
will. I'll make sure he knows. And then, and then, I got one other like little option to put out
Mhm,
there, right? Which is come around the same kind of cash, which is slightly different, which is the ECM Puristica, right? So the Puristica is about 1,200 quid. It's about the same as that thing you're
yeah.
just mentioning, the mood, right? It's about
Hmm.
1,200 quid. Different kind of style machine, different approach. Like it's got an E61 group head, but it's got the little knobby button for flow control. Is it pressure profiling? Flow control. I think it's flow control.
One of them.
Anyway, it's got a PID. It's got the little flow control button. It's got no way to set or save those settings, so you're kind of just playing around. But it allows you to be creative. It's a very small package. Little water tank on the side, looks a little bit like a Frankenstein kind of, not in a bad way, but it's a bit sort of sciencey with the tubes coming out into a little thing. I saw one of those when I was in Mannheim, and I really liked it. I have to say, I think it comes down to style and taste. So some people would prefer the look of the mood and the fact that it's a self-contained package and it's got that integrated thing and it's not going to splash water everywhere like those E61s do.
Hmm.
And other people, and it's got the buttons that you just program and push it and go, and it's fantastic. And I should say that the mood, all those Oscars have got steaming built in, so they've got their heat exchange machine, so you can steam at the same time. Whereas the Puristica has no steaming function whatsoever. So you'd have to get, but here's an answer to that: is you
Hmm.
get a separate steamer, and they're not expensive. So Lavazza do one like a Lavazza milk thing,
Hmm.
steams and froths milk perfectly in a self-contained unit, £59.
Yeah. Or for a
What?
similar price,
What?
a milk frother.
That is a milk. Oh, what do you mean? That's what it is. That's what I
Ah,
said.
so milk steamer or milk frother?
Oh, what is a milk frother? I'm sorry for getting my terminology
So
wrong.
the milk frother is something that Nespresso actually came up with, and it made it big. I think it was already available.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little pot that heats
Yes, I
up
did. Yeah.
at the right temperature, and it spins a thingy inside, and it
Mm-hmm.
froths the milk up just right,
That's
so
it.
it doesn't heat up, it doesn't overheat it. But that takes away the learning to froth. So it depends. It
Yeah.
really depends.
If you want
If
to
you
get
like to
into
show
learning
off
to
like
froth
I
milk,
do,
Yeah, so, yeah,
Then
definitely. Like
look at
if
how
frothing
good I
milk,
am.
yeah,
Oh, I burnt
I'm
it
going to do
again.
some latte art. But you can still look. I'm just saying that that would be a good choice if espresso was your main go-to drink.
Yeah.
And occasionally someone would come around and say, "I'd like a flat white and a latte." So if someone comes around and speaks like
And
that,
then
obviously
you
you
should
show them
really
the door.
question your friendships.
You guys, somebody comes around and goes, "I'd like a latte." You just ask them to leave politely.
No, you don't.
Um,
You don't ask them to leave. That would be rude. You just show them the door.
you say, "Look, you can get a latte. Let me show you where the lattes are at." And you walk them to the door and you say, "Down there, there's a Starbucks." And you slam the door.
Yeah.
Don't ever come back and ask for a latte.
Yeah.
But those are some options. I think those are great options. I honestly, if I sincerely, if I was going back, I would really love for future me to have actually had made this podcast and me watch it and say, oh, okay, those are some great options. Because I think I spent more than 500. I probably spent more than I did spend more than 500 quid. And I was like modding my Gagier, and I probably spent about 700 quid in total. I kind of would
So you're
prefer to have
50 quid
started
away
with this.
from an Oscar.
That's it. It's 50 quid away from an Oscar.
That's the
Just
thing.
do
No,
it.
it's true. I completely agree. But the thing is, when you buy secondhand, that's a different story. And I've noticed that nowadays secondhand stuff doesn't come around very often. Don't know why, because people should by
Yeah.
now should have got sick of things, because
Mm-hmm.
during lockdown everybody bought a coffee machine, and by now they should hate it, so they should be selling it. And I don't see them going. Where are they?
No.
Sell your
Actually, the
craft
other thing I
mates.
would listen, the other thing that if you're
Listen.
sincerely watching this, listen, listen, you people out there, if you're new and you stumble across this video and you've actually made this far, what are you thinking? But also,
What's wrong with you?
what's wrong with you? Get a life. But also, go and don't go and buy like beans from the supermarket. Don't do all of this and then pop down to your supermarket to buy beans, because that's
that
just
would be
going
silly.
to be like, I don't understand why it's still so rubbish. Go to a roaster.
Well, that's as good as it gets, really, with supermarket beans. Yes. Well, I mean, rubbish.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, they are getting some better ones out there, so it is possible.
Yeah, but now
don't do that. Go support your local roasters who make much better coffee. And if you do all of this, you get all these machines, and then you go down and you go and buy your Lavazza Crema or whatever from the shops, you've thrown your money away, mate. So go to your local roaster, and that's what, and then just get some beans from them. I say if you're not a local roaster, if you don't know who you look, it doesn't really matter. Just go look up online roaster, fresh beans, whatever, and buy something from somebody who roasts their own beans.
I must say, though,
difference. Yeah,
I must say,
say it if you must.
I must. There's a little too many these days, and it's hard to find stuff that could be good for starters, and that's something we talked about earlier on. Because when you start new, you're used to crap coffee. It's not really crap coffee, come on. But you're used to coffee that is a little more standard in terms of flavors and taste. So very fruity stuff and very exotic stuff is gonna just throw you off. It is going to. There's no hiding. It will throw you off, and probably your taste buds or your tastes are not used to it. So that's one of the things that, go to your local roaster, do it wisely. Try to find
that could be another
that
podcast, Max. Pick some beans for transitional beans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, a good one, just right off the bat, a good one would be like, I'd just go, I'm going to go do a pitch, pitch, not a punch. What am I do? A punt. I'm going to, what's the word you say when you go and promote something? And I'm going to go and promote Gerald over at Peaberry. And I'd say, because I love for instance, his Peace and Hope. So I was asking him the other day, I was taking some coffee to work, and I was like, hey, Gerald, what coffee should I get for people who maybe don't, drink a lot of, don't really know what good coffee is like? And he's like, oh, I'll try the Peace and Hope. And of course we've all had Peace and Hope. And it's actually a very good.
Yeah. And so we're talking about Peaberry Coffee here.
Yeah. I'll put a link below.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good one. Another one that I would recommend also is Dark Woods. Dark Woods Deer Hill, because that's actually a blend with Robusta. So that's very close to what this typical Italian espresso should taste of. Problem is, obviously, that needs to go in a coffee machine, in an espresso machine, because if you do a pour over with it, it will go sideways very quickly. That would be a very good one to transition, because it has very little acidity. You can get some, but not very much. There is another good one that were from Windsor. I forgot the name, so I'll try to find it and give it to you.
Send it to me, Max. I'll put it in the show notes as well. I'll put all of these links in the show notes of the things that we mentioned today as well, so people know what we're referring to. If you're in the UK, and actually,
Brew
I should
Up
say
Coffee.
another thing.
Sorry. It's Brew Up Coffee.
Oh, don't think I've had them.
Yeah, we had them at the very beginning when we were still doing the tests. So Brew Up Coffee is another one that is local to us, but that's great. And they tend to do slightly darker roasts. They have some selection of stuff that is not too acidic, and that's something that I think is very important, because the first time you drink something weird, it's gonna taste weird, and you're gonna go, ooh, what's that?
Yeah,
I don't want that.
If you're not used to the acidity in particular, it may not be pleasant for you. You might be thinking, this doesn't taste like coffee, this is sour.
But also, it's not just that. It's, you have to compound that with the knowledge. So how do you know that you're doing the right thing?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Yeah, you might say, well, this is disgusting, but it might just be the way it is, or it might be that you're making it wrong.
Which one is it? Because if you don't know, how to,
Yeah. So look, those are all like obviously confusing advice to everybody. So thanks for that, Max.
We learned nothing. So we talked
That's
about
probably another podcast, actually.
We've been talking about we've been talking for about
47.58 minutes.
8 minutes now.
Okay. Yeah.
48 minutes, and we learned nothing.
No, we haven't. We've basically told people eventually what machines to buy. I'm going to end on one other thing too, Max. It's just to say, the coffee giveaways I've ended because I've what was happening was I'd notify people on the list who'd register, and I say, hey, you won beans, and then a few days later they come back and they go, great, here's my address, I'm in Texas, and I'd be like, no, you've got to be in the UK. So this became very frustrating to me, where I'd constantly get people who are saying, I'm in Croatia, or I'm in, wherever. And I was like, no, you didn't listen. You didn't pay attention to the thing. I'm sending it from the UK. So I've just given up on it. But what I'll do.
We have a bit of a problem. It starts with a B.
Is it me?
No, it's not basket.
Okay, sorry. I thought you could say it's me. It's me. I'm the problem.
Brexit, you muppet.
Brexit. Oh, well, no, it's not even Brexit. It's just I don't want to send beans internationally. Like I spend more on the shipping than I will on the beans, right? It's just I'm cheap. Well, because I have to. Because there's no point that gets there like on a boat and it gets there 2 months later. No, send me an email to nick@bartalks.net. And, you'll know the address because it's on the website where you've registered, but nick@bartalks.net, NICK. And I will send you a bag of coffee. I'll send you a bag of Peace and Hope. All right. If you've registered already and you feel like you're hard done by because you didn't win, if you're a winner already and you've won stuff, then don't register again, or don't send me an email because you already got something out of me for free, you cheapskates. But if you haven't won anything and you registered, send me an email and with your UK address on it, and I will send.
It must be inside the UK, so not Wales.
It must be inside the UK, yeah,
or Yorkshire.
And just as a clue, the Vietnam, Philippines, Australia is not in the UK, so neither is Canada. We're part of the Commonwealth, but not part of the UK. So there we go. We'll finish it on that.
So are not the US.
No,
any of the states.
Texas is not part of the UK yet. We've got our invasion plans.
We're working on it.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
Got to sort ourselves out first. Max. All right, buddy. Let's leave it there. We could drag it on for an hour by just rambling for another 10 minutes and make it a clean hour, but
Oh, it's only 9 actually.
9
then.
minutes. I'm going to see you next time. Well, let's think about doing something about. Yeah, let's think about. Oh no, we've got that thing that I told you
We've
about.
got that thing.
I don't know when that thing's going to happen, but I would guess.
But it's going to be interesting.
In 2 weeks. Yeah, it's in 2 weeks or so.
It's going to be very interesting.
So we're going to have a very interesting podcast coming up next 2 to 4 weeks.
We might even be in the same room, Nick and I.
It might get scary.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. All right, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. And I will see you next time.
Bye.